Welcome back, everyone. Today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood, most talked about, and most widely found coins in American history, the 1979 United States $1 coin. A coin that many people still find in old drawers, wallets, collections, and even inherited boxes of coins, yet very few truly understand what they have in their hands, whether it is rare, common, valuable, or simply a piece of history. And today we will uncover everything about this coin, including its background, its design, its mint marks, the difference between mint mark and no mint mark, how condition affects value, what collectors actually pay today in the real market, and whether this coin has the potential to become more valuable in the future or not. The 1979 $1 coin is officially known as the Susan B. Anthony dollar, named after the famous American women's rights activist who played a major role in the women's suffrage movement, and this coin became the very first US coin to feature a real woman instead of a symbolic female figure like Liberty. This alone makes the $1,979 historically important, because it represents a major shift in American coin design. Before this, most American coins only featured presidents or symbolic representations, but Susan B. Anthony was a real person who dedicated her life to equality and voting rights for women. When the United States Mint introduced the Susan B. Anthony dollar in 1979, it was meant to replace the $1 bill and make dollar transactions more durable and cost-effective. The government believed that Americans would easily switch to using dollar coins instead of dollar bills, just like many countries already do. However, what they did not expect was how similar this coin would look to the quarter dollar. Because of its small size and silver-like color, many people confused it with quarters, and this confusion ultimately led to its failure in everyday circulation. Now let's talk about the design itself. On the front, or obverse side, of the $1,979 coin, you will see a portrait of Susan B. Anthony facing to the right. Around her portrait, you will find the words Liberty at the top and the year 1979 at the bottom. To the left of her portrait, you may find a small letter, and this letter is extremely important because it tells you where the coin was made. This is called the mint mark. On the back, or reverse side of the coin, you will see a powerful and symbolic image of an eagle landing on the moon, which was inspired by the Apollo 11 moon landing. This same design was previously used on the Eisenhower dollar. Above the eagle, it says United States of America, and below it, you will find $1. Now here is where most people get confused and start asking questions about value. The $1,979 was minted at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produces coins without a mint mark, meaning if you do not see any letter next to the date, your coin was struck in Philadelphia. Coins with a D mint mark were made in Denver, and coins with an S mint mark were produced in San Francisco. So when someone says they have a 1979 $1 coin without a mint mark, they are referring to a Philadelphia minted coin. These are extremely common because Philadelphia produced a massive number of these coins. In fact, over 360 million 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollars were made. That alone tells us that rarity is not on its side in terms of basic circulation numbers. The Denver Mint also produced a very high number, with more than 288 million coins struck, while the San Francisco Mint made a much smaller number, especially for proof versions, which were made specifically for collectors and not for general circulation. Proof coins are struck with special polished dies and planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish and sharp details. Now let's focus specifically on the 1979 $1 coin without a mint mark in fine condition, because that is exactly what many people own. A coin graded as fine usually shows clear details, but also visible wear. The major features of Susan B. Anthony's face will still be visible, the lettering will be readable, and the overall design will be complete, but the coin will not look new, shiny, or flawless. In today's real collector market, a 1979 $1 coin without a mint mark in fine condition is generally worth face value to slightly above face value. Most of the time, this coin will sell for around $1 to $3. In some cases, depending on demand, local collector interest, or online auction competition, it might bring $4 or even $5, but that is not common. The truth is that because so many were made and so many still survive, these coins are not rare in circulated condition. This is where many people become disappointed, because they see videos online claiming that a $1,979 is worth thousands or even millions. What those videos often leave out is that they are talking about extremely rare error coins, special proof varieties, or coins in near-perfect mint state grades like MS67 or higher. Regular circulated coins simply do not reach those prices. However, not all $1,979 are the same. There is one extremely famous and valuable variety, known as the 1979 wide rim, or near-date variety. On this version, the date appears much closer to the rim than on regular coins, and the rim itself is visibly thicker. This variety was only made for a short time before the design was corrected, making it far more valuable than the standard version. Even in circulated condition, a genuine wide rim 1979 $P can sell for $30 to $100, and in high mint state grades, it can reach several $1,000s. The problem is that most people do not know how to properly identify a wide rim variety. Many people think their coin is rare just because the date looks a little closer to the edge, but professional grading is the only way to confirm it. Without authentication, any claim of rarity remains unverified. Now let's also talk about why the Susan B. Anthony dollar failed in circulation. Americans simply did not like the coin. It was too close in size and color to the quarter, and many people accidentally spent dollar coins thinking they were quarters. Businesses did not like dealing with customer complaints, vending machines were slow to adopt the new size, and the general public resisted change. As a result, by 1981, production was halted for circulation strikes, and only resumed briefly in 1999 to supply vending machine demand. Because of this failure in everyday use, millions of Susan B. Anthony dollars were stored away in government vaults for decades. This massive supply is another reason why regular $1,979 coins remain inexpensive today. Now let's talk about condition and how much it truly affects value. A fine condition coin, as mentioned earlier, shows visible wear. If your 1979 $P is in very fine or extremely fine condition, it might reach $3 to $6. If it is in uncirculated condition, where it shows no wear and still has its original mint luster, values can increase significantly. A typical uncirculated 1979 $P may sell for $10 to $25. High-end mint state examples graded MS65 or MS66 can reach $50 to $150. And only the very rare top population grades reach four-figure prices. For the Denver mint version, values are generally similar to Philadelphia, sometimes slightly higher in uncirculated condition. Proof coins from San Francisco are also common and typically sell between $10 and $40 depending on condition and packaging. Now many people ask whether the $1,979 will ever become a $1 million coin. Realistically speaking, standard circulation strikes will not reach extreme values because the supply is simply too large. However, error coins, rare varieties, and top-graded examples will always remain valuable and in demand among serious collectors. If you are someone who owns a 1979 $1 coin without a mint mark in fine condition, the best thing you can do is store it properly. Do not clean the coin, because cleaning destroys original surfaces and reduces value. Keep it in a protective holder, avoid touching it with bare fingers, and store it in a cool, dry place away from moisture. Another important factor that affects value is market demand. Coin prices constantly rise and fall depending on collector interest, metal prices, and economic conditions. While the Susan B. Anthony dollar is not a silver coin and contains no precious metal value, it still holds strong historical appeal as the first circulating US coin featuring a real woman. This coin also represents a major social milestone in American history. Susan B. Anthony was arrested in 1872 for voting illegally as a woman, and her fight for women's rights helped pave the way for the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote in 1920. Placing her on US currency in 1979 was a symbolic tribute to her lifelong struggle for equality. So even if your coin is not worth thousands of dollars, it still carries an important story and legacy. Many collectors value coins not only for their price, but for their historical meaning, and the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar holds a very powerful place in that category. If you are considering selling your $1,979, always research current prices on trusted auction platforms, coin dealer websites, and grading company price guides. Avoid falling for exaggerated claims on social media that promise instant riches. Only verified rare varieties, errors, and top-grade coins bring exceptional money. On the other hand, if you are building a coin collection, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is a great starting point. It is affordable, easy to find, historically significant, and available in several varieties and mint marks that can add depth to any US coin collection. In the end, the real value of your 1979 $1 coin, without a mint mark in fine condition today, is typically between $1 and $5 in most cases, slightly higher if demand is strong or condition is above average. It is not a hidden million-dollar treasure in standard form, but it is a fascinating artifact of American history, design change, and social progress. And this is what makes coin collecting so special. Sometimes value comes from rarity and price, and sometimes it comes from story, history, and meaning. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar may not make you rich overnight, but it makes you a holder of a powerful chapter in the story of American currency. And now let's go even deeper into the hidden world of the 1979 $1 coin, because beyond the surface-level value that most people talk about, there is an entire collector economy working quietly behind the scenes, where grading companies, auctions, private buyers, and long-term investors play a major role in determining what these coins are truly worth over time. Many people believe that coin values are fixed, but in reality, coin prices behave very much like a living market, rising and falling with trends, demand, and collector psychology. One of the most important things that new collectors often overlook is how professional grading completely changes the identity of a coin in the marketplace. A raw $1,979, without a mint mark in fine condition, might sell for just a couple of dollars, but once a coin is sent to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC and receives an official grade, it enters a completely different category of buyers. Certified coins are trusted more, traded more easily, and often bring stronger prices because buyers feel confident they are getting exactly what the label says. Now imagine two identical-looking 1979 $P coins. One is loose, ungraded, kept in a small plastic flip. The other is sealed inside a professional slab with a visible grade of MS66. Even though they came from the same mint and the same year, the second coin could sell for dozens or even hundreds of dollars more. This is the power of grading and authentication in modern coin collecting. Another thing many people do not realize is that Susan B. Anthony dollars were never melted in large quantities like some older silver coins. Because these coins contain no precious metal, the government had no financial reason to melt them down. Instead, millions of them were stored in vaults for decades. This huge remaining supply keeps the market well stocked even today, which is why prices stay relatively stable for common examples. However, where things become interesting is in the world of error coins. Error coins are mistakes that happened during the minting process, and some of these errors can turn a simple $1 coin into a high-value collectible. For the $1,979, known errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, die cracks, missing clad layers, and misaligned dies. These errors are completely accidental, and because quality control catches most mistakes, only a small number ever escape into circulation. A genuine off-center $1,979 with a visible date can sell anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic the error is. A major double strike can exceed $1,000, and extremely rare errors authenticated by major grading companies have sold for several $1,000s at auction. But once again, these are rare exceptions, not the rule for standard coins. Collectors often ask why some coins skyrocket in value, while others remain common forever. The answer is a combination of supply, demand, condition, and story. The Susan B. Anthony dollar has a strong historical story, but its supply is massive, and that limits how high prices can climb for ordinary examples. Coins that were melted, recalled, or produced in extremely low numbers tend to perform much better in long-term investment value. Another fascinating element of the 1979 dollar story is how it connects to modern American coin design. After the Susan B. Anthony dollar failed in circulation, the United States did not completely abandon the idea of featuring women on coins. Instead, decades later, this idea returned with strength through the Sacagawea dollar and later the American Women Quarters program. In many ways, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar was ahead of its time. It opened the door for future changes in US coin design, even if the public was not ready for it at the time. Now let's talk about hoarding behavior, which quietly affects coin prices. When the Susan B. Anthony dollar was first released, many people believed it would become rare one day, just like earlier silver dollars. As a result, millions of Americans saved them in rolls, bags, jars, and safes. This massive hoarding is another major reason why the market is still flooded with high-condition examples, even after more than 4 decades. There are still unopened government mint bags full of Susan B. Anthony dollars sitting in private collections and estates. Every time one of these hoards enters the market, prices temporarily soften again because supply increases. This continuous release of stored coins keeps prices under control. But future generations may eventually change this equation. As collectors age, heirlooms get sold, and interest shifts, the market slowly absorbs these coins. Over very long periods of time, even common coins can rise in value simply because fewer people are actively trading them. This is a slow process that happens over many decades, not overnight. If you are someone who dreams of finding a valuable coin in everyday circulation, the reality is that chances are extremely low, but not zero. Every year, collectors still discover rare errors in circulation because not everyone checks their change carefully. A trained eye can sometimes spot something extraordinary that others overlook. This is why learning the basics of coin identification is so important. Knowing where to look for mint marks, how to judge condition, how to detect abnormal shapes, weights, or strikes can instantly separate an ordinary coin from something special. Even simple tools like a magnifying glass and a digital scale can make a huge difference in spotting potential errors. Another factor that quietly influences value is nostalgia. For many Americans, the Susan B. Anthony dollar represents a very specific era in US history. The late 1970s and early 1980s, a time of economic change, social movements, and cultural shifts. Nostalgia-based collecting is becoming more powerful every year as people seek physical reminders of the past. This emotional connection can slowly increase long-term interest in coins like the $1,979. In online auctions today, you will often see dozens of $1,979 coins listed at the same time. Some sell quickly, others sit unsold for weeks. This shows how competitive the market is. Only coins with interesting attributes, high grade, proof condition, rare variety, or certified errors, consistently attract strong bidding. Many new sellers make the mistake of listing their coin with unrealistic prices after watching exaggerated videos online. They list a basic fine condition 1979 P dollar for hundreds of dollars, and then wonder why no one buys it. The truth is that serious collectors know real market prices, and they only pay high money when justified by rarity and condition. If your goal is long-term collecting rather than quick profit, the Susan B. Anthony dollar still holds an important place in any US coin collection. Completing a full set of 1979, 1979 D, and 1979 S proof coins is affordable and educational for beginners. It teaches the basics of mint marks, proof versus circulation strikes, and condition grading. Now let's imagine the future 30 to 40 years from now. Children who grow up today may one day view these coins as artifacts from a distant era. As digital payments replace cash more and more, physical coinage itself is becoming less common. This alone may create renewed interest in traditional coins. While not every Susan B. Anthony dollar will become highly valuable, the category itself may gain stronger collector appreciation over time. At the end of the day, the most important thing to understand about the 1979 $1 coin, without a mint mark in fine condition, is that it sits in a unique space between common circulation coin and historical collectible. It is not rare, not expensive, but not meaningless either. It represents innovation, social change, a failed experiment in everyday currency, and a powerful tribute to one of America's most influential women. When you hold this coin in your hand, you are not just holding $1. You are holding a story of ambition, resistance, progress, and learning. The US government tried to change how Americans used money, the people resisted, and history took its own course. That lesson alone makes this coin worth keeping, studying, and passing on to future generations. And as the years go on, the real value of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar will never only be measured in money. It will be measured in meaning, memory, and the quiet power of history preserved in metal. And even after exploring the market value, the grading world, the error possibilities, and the historical meaning, there is still another deep layer to the story of the 1979 $1 coin that most people never hear about. And that is how this coin quietly changed the behavior of collectors, dealers, and even the US Mint itself in ways that still affect modern coin production today. The failure of the Susan B. Anthony dollar taught the Mint powerful lessons about public acceptance, design choices, usability, and the psychological relationship people have with money. One of the biggest lessons learned was that size matters. People had grown so used to the size and feel of the quarter that introducing a dollar coin, almost identical in size, confused the public instead of helping them. This is the main reason why later dollar coins, such as the Sacagawea and the presidential dollar series, were given a golden color and a slightly different feel to clearly separate them from quarters. Without the 1979 experience, modern coin design might look very different today. Another important lesson was public trust. When people cannot quickly recognize the value of a coin by touch or sight, they lose confidence using it. This hesitation killed everyday usage of the Susan B. Anthony dollar. And when a coin is not used daily, it stops circulating. And when it stops circulating, it becomes a storage item instead of a functional currency. This is exactly what happened to millions of $1,979 coins stored away in vaults, homes, and collections. Now let's talk about one of the most emotional aspects of coin collecting: inheritance. Every year, thousands of people across the United States and around the world inherit coin collections from parents, grandparents, and relatives. Very often, these collections include Susan B. Anthony dollars because people believed they would become rare someday. Many families contact coin dealers with great hope, thinking they have discovered a fortune. And while sometimes that does happen with rare coins, in most cases the value is modest. But what never disappears is the emotional value connected to the person who saved those coins. A grandfather may have saved these coins believing he was protecting his family's future. Even if the financial value is small today, the intention behind it was powerful. That emotional meaning often becomes far more important than the market price. Many collectors keep inherited Susan B. Anthony dollars not as investments, but as family history preserved in metal. Another quiet truth about coins like the $1,979 is that they serve as a gateway into the world of collecting. Many professional collectors today started their journey with simple, common coins that sparked curiosity. A single question like, "Why does this coin look different?" can grow into a lifelong passion. The Susan B. Anthony dollar plays that role perfectly because it is affordable, unusual, and historically rich. As digital payments continue to dominate the modern world, physical coins are slowly becoming unfamiliar objects to younger generations. Many children today rarely use cash, and when they see a coin, it feels strange and foreign. This shift alone may increase the cultural value of coins like the $1,979 in the future, not because they are rare, but because they are symbols of a physical money era that is slowly fading away. Now imagine a future where almost all transactions are digital, and physical currency is rarely used. In that future, coins will exist mainly as collector items, museum pieces, and historical artifacts. The Susan B. Anthony dollar could become a key representative of late 20th century American currency, marking the transition period between traditional cash usage and the digital financial age. Another factor many people never consider is how global collectors view American coins. While the Susan B. Anthony dollar may be common in the United States, in many other countries it is an exotic foreign coin. International collectors often buy these coins simply because they represent American history. This global demand adds another quiet layer of stability to the market, even for common examples. Online platforms have also reshaped coin collecting forever. Decades ago, collectors were limited to local dealers, coin shows, and mail-order catalogs. Today, a 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar can be bought or sold instantly worldwide. This has made the market faster, more competitive, and more transparent. At the same time, it has also created confusion because misinformation spreads just as fast as real data. This is why education is the most powerful tool in coin collecting. The more you learn about mint marks, varieties, condition, grading, and history, the stronger your position becomes as a collector or seller. Knowledge is what protects you from overpaying and helps you recognize real opportunities when they appear. Many people ask whether it is better to sell now or hold for the future. The honest answer depends on your goal. If you are holding a standard 1979 P dollar in fine condition, the financial gain from waiting many years will likely be modest. But if you hold rare varieties, eras, or high-grade certified coins, long-term holding can make sense as collector demand gradually increases. For those who are simply curious about their coins, the journey of learning itself often becomes more valuable than the money. Each coin tells a story, not just of economics, but of politics, technology, social change, and human behavior. The Susan B. Anthony dollar tells a story of progress, resistance, innovation, and compromise. When you look at this coin closely, you see more than metal. You see a woman who challenged the system. You see a government that tried to modernize currency. You see a public that resisted change. And you see history frozen in a small circular object that can pass silently from hand to hand for generations. And this is perhaps the most beautiful truth about coin collecting, that value is never only measured in dollars. It is measured in knowledge gained, curiosity sparked, history preserved, and stories remembered. So whether your 1979 $1 coin, without a mint mark in fine condition, is resting quietly in a drawer, displayed in a collection, or passed down through a family, it carries far more than its face value. It carries a chapter of American history that can never be erased, only rediscovered again and again by those who take the time to look closely. And as long as people continue to search their change, open old boxes, inherit collections, and ask questions about the coins they find, the story of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar will never truly end. It will continue to live on through curiosity, learning, and the timeless human desire to understand the past through the objects it left behind.